Relationship advice. Update: I agreed to be a surrogate for my sister and her husband, but I'm regretting it now. Original story. For most of my life my sister Alice has been wanting kids, but has been unable to carry a baby to full term, in part due to endometriosis. She was in a lot of pain and had to have a hysterectomy. Alice and her husband Ben have fostered 5 children and have adopted 2 children with autism, and are great parents. They have a good home environment and are financially very well off. But recently, Ben and after a while Alice, was bitten by the urge to have a kid biologically related to them, because they wanted a chance to do things right, and provide the best start in life, their views, not mine. So, they asked me to be their traditional surrogate, and said that they would cover all costs, legal, medical etc., associated with it. They would also be paying off my student debt, renting a 2-bedroom apartment for 3 years, plus giving me a substantial amount of cash. I said sure, it'll be 9 months of my life in exchange for being set up for quite some time, and my immediate family thinks it is a great idea. However, when I said sure, I was expecting something along the lines of IUI, where we go to the doctor to get Ben's sperm prepped, me getting shots etc., basically the whole artificial insemination package. But Alice and Ben have asked me to get pregnant the traditional way. Their rationale is that, 1, it is the cheapest way, 2, they don't want to go to the hospital given the corona pandemic, and 3, they think babies conceived naturally are healthier / the pregnancy would be safer without the chemicals, but I just can't get over the extreme ick factor. And even if this was going to take place at home, I think a syringe would work fine. Am I going loony for thinking of going back on my word? Is their request reasonable? My immediate family doesn't see anything wrong with it and has been congratulating my sister on her impending baby. On the other hand, if I do give it up, am I also mad for passing up what is essentially $200K, especially in this economy now? Now for the top advice. This is just wrong in so many ways. Who can support this method of getting you pregnant? It could take multiple attempts. How many times does Ben want to do it with you? Is Alice really okay with her husband sleeping with you? There is literally no guarantee it would even take. The fact that they want to do it naturally is absolutely absurd. None of this is okay. You are too young, and not to be mean, dumb to make this kind of life-altering experience. 25 is not an age where you can actually know if this is the right thing for you. You barely know who you are now. You are just getting comfortable in your own skin. You sure as hell don't have the tools to make this kind of decision on your own without legal and medical advice and meetings. Never sleep with your sister's husband under any circumstances. That sounds like a straight-up freaking plot. No reasonable human being would suggest that. Which makes me think her husband found himself a loophole, and used some Google research to find enough BS evidence to present it as an option. You say they are great parents, and that's wonderful. But to think of this, to present this, and to believe it, they are straight-up freaking idiots, as freaking idiotic as anti-vaxxers and flat-earthers. So while it's great to know you don't have to have an ounce of smarts to be a good parent, that doesn't make this idea good. Finally, 2 special needs kids is a tough road to go down, period. A 3rd child is a freaking bad idea. To even say, to have our own kid is messed right up. Think about what even starting that line of thinking will end up doing to the kids who aren't their own. Don't do that to a kid, man. These people are idiots, and they have dragged you into their nonsense. The reason I said that you were too young and not wise enough to do it, is proven by the fact that you even considered it. You are a great sister and clearly a nice person trying your best to help out your family. But this is such a clusterfreak of BS and bad ideas, by 2 people who should know better. Man, you have a messed up family to have any of them go along with this. A super, messed, up, family. Pregnancy messes your body up, being your sister's husband's human fleshlight, is messed up. If you meet a man in the future, take a long freaking time before introducing him to that bunch of skin bags. Because that's just an entire family of red flags draped in stupid. Anyone who wants to make a human being using the lowest bidder is insane. To do something awful and unsafe, because it's cheaper. Your sister and her husband are the Halliburton of human beings. Dear God, don't do this. Edit. Thank you. I see that I am completely out of my depth here and will be discussing with my sister about alternatives that don't include me carrying the baby. Not looking forward to that discussion though. Now for the first update. All the comments on my previous post showed me that I am way too young, dumb and ignorant with what I signed up with. I started researching actual lived experiences and I read so many horror stories, that I've decided to not go ahead with being involved in any way, shape or form, with helping them have kids. In fact, I'm not even sure if I want to ever get pregnant after all the stories about 3rd and 4th degree tears, poop, miscarriages. I am clearly not in the right stage of life/maturity to even consider doing something of this magnitude. The difficult part was mustering up the courage to call my sister to tell her my decision. I really look up to my sister and love her lots, and our family and religion has always been about helping others out where we can. When I called her to tell her, we had a short convo at first where I basically said, "Sorry, can't do it, but that doesn't mean I love you any less." She seemed sad, but said she was happy to respect my decision, and I thought that was it. Then just last night, sister and brother-in-law called me back over Zoom. My sister was crying and begged me to reconsider, as both of them really wanted biological kids. Brother-in-law told me that they were really disappointed in me, and hoped that I would find it within me to do this. When I told them my concerns, my brother-in-law just said, "Pregnancy and motherhood is a beautiful and natural process, and that I was made for this." I'm so glad I did this over video call instead of in person, because I just hung up on them and faked having connection problems. I've been ignoring their texts so far, and frankly, I don't know what else to say. But anyway, thank you all from the bottom of my heart for opening my eyes. Now for the top comments. I would really like to know how they justify him wanting to sleep with you, to conceive the child. And don't sorry about it. A loving sister would have never even put you in this position. I didn't even bring it up, it was too awkward, only spoke about it to my sister earlier. It was easier to tell them the truth that I didn't even want to be pregnant, or involved in this process in any way. It's okay to be impolite. Saying that you aren't going to sleep with your sister's husband for up to a year, several times a month, is absolutely okay to say directly to both of them. They can have biological with a donor egg and then your sister can be the one who can experience the joyous experience of pregnancy and birth. Saying that you decided that you have chosen to only have children with your own partner is fine. Saying that you're not sure you ever want to be pregnant is fine too. It almost makes me wonder how much the husband was behind all of this, manipulating the wife and her inability to carry a baby, as a way to sleep with her sister. It's so beyond creepy. I've been ignoring their texts so far and frankly I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say. My decision is final. I wish you luck in figuring something out, but I'm not discussing this any further. If that doesn't work, maybe send your sister a message, telling her this whole thing has creeped you out, and she should find another way to get in contact with you if she needs help, and then put them both on mute if that's the only way to stop the texts. After reading your original post, both your sister and brother-in-law make me sick. They wanted you to sleep with him to get you pregnant. What if it didn't work the first time? You would have essentially be on call to screw your brother-in-law at least every month until he knocked you up. That's so disgusting, and I'm sad for you that your family thought it was a great idea. I'm glad you backed out, though. I find it suspicious that the sister was fine with it to begin with, but then comes back with a brother-in-law, and is crying and asking her to reconsider. The brother-in-law is giving me creepy vibes. Now for the final update. Leaving for the airport in a few hours to move across the country and I can't sleep. I plan to slowly phase out contact with my family and community, even though I love the people in their lots. Long story short, I went over to Alice and Ben's house to visit their kids in May. While there, they asked me in person to reconsider my decision. Sometime during this, Ben started kissing and touching me. I let him. I know typing this out makes me seem dumb for going over, and weak, because I was. But I just froze and it was very difficult to say no in the moment, especially with my sister crying and Ben having quite a presence in person. Trust me, I have replayed the scenario so many times in my head wishing I was stronger in that moment. Luckily that was the extent of it, and I was able to leave shortly after, because I don't know what I would have done otherwise. I also received surprisingly no support from my parents or my bishop regarding my earlier decision. I didn't tell anyone the recent event. I don't think they knew what Alice and Ben were asking me exactly, and I didn't bring it up either. I was already sort of an outsider for not really conforming to the usual lifestyle of being married with kids, but this still shocked me. All these things combined, made me reevaluate my life. Working from home and having this much time alone has also given me a lot of time to think about things. I fell down the rabbit hole of reading stories of people who also left the church, and I want that life for me. So, I've spent the last 3 months making arrangements, transferring to another part of my company, and today is the big day. I know it's not going to be easy. Pretending to be normal at the last Pioneer Day family gathering was the hardest thing I needed to do, but I did it for myself and for closure. But I'm going to get through this. Thank you for the advice, and stay safe everyone. Now for the last story. Psycho sister and husband try to get me to be surrogate. Haha, think not. Over Christmas, my sister and her husband descended into madness. My twin sister, Rochelle, and her husband, Roger, have been trying for kids for years. She was at my house 2 weeks before Roger showed up. I think they had been fighting. When he arrived, they broke out the punching gloves and argued for a few hours. A few days later, Rochelle asks to speak with me. For some reason, she assumed I was in the same boat. A few years ago, Jay had some medical complications that rendered him blessedly sterile. Jay and I saw it as a blessing because we never wanted to have kids. Now we didn't have to worry about it. She tells me it is unfair. I can see her point. I don't want kids and can have them, She lives and breathes babies and is unable to have them. Before the happy couple is set to drive back home, Rochelle and Roger decide they want to talk to me alone. Jay has to help a friend out with his fence, and I agree. I know something crappy is going to happen, because Rochelle has her constipated face on. She doesn't think, she just crap scolds sometimes. Apparently, she spoke to my mother. She learned that a few years ago I had a termination. Rochelle also shared this information with Roger, which pissed me off. It wasn't an easy choice, but one I had to make. Rochelle tries to God shame me and Roger just nods his head like some sort of rapper. Then, when Rochelle is done with her sermon of suck, Roger takes over. He tells me to make up for killing the kid, I should help them have a family. I think, at first, they are going to ask me to give them an egg. This would be something I would look into and told her this. Rochelle tells me she is unable to carry eggs to term, it's all broken down there. So, their idea is to ask me to be a surrogate. I sit in shock, wondering how they thought this was a good idea. When I don't agree with them right away, they get angry. Luckily, Jay pulls up around this time, and I say I need to speak with him. Roger nods, because women in his world don't make their own choices. Men do it for them. I don't like Roger that much. Anyways, Jay and I go and have a conversation. I tell him what was said. He laughs. I say I am serious. He looks perplexed. Then we both agree it's not happening. I told Rochelle I was sorry, I didn't feel comfortable using my own eggs to make her a child. I would inevitably want to keep it. I didn't think it was fair to the kid, myself, or Jay. They leave and said they never wanted to speak to us again. Part of me feels like a bad person. Even my mother called to ask me to reconsider, but ultimately left the choice to me, as it should be. The problem is, Jay keeps asking me if I am serious and do I want children. I think he feels like I may have lied to him. I am not sure what Rochelle said to him, because they did speak. But I am very lost. Rochelle and Roger have called about 30 times since, and gotten family/friends to try and guilt us. It makes me look bad to turn her down, but I refuse to back down. I just am lost at what to do to fix this. Now for the top comments. They can't adopt. Tell them it's what Jesus would do. There are plenty of children who need homes. I hope you all can get over it one day and be friendly again. But it will probably be a while. This, I could not agree more. There are millions of kids without parents, and if someone is going to pull the God card, then they need to do the godly thing and adopt. My guess is that the brother-in-law and sister will get divorced. He's probably one of those guys who needs his own blood babies. Man, that's hard. On one hand, it's not an unreasonable request that you consider it. Who better to ask than a twin sister after all? On the other hand, that is the most messed up way to go about it I can possibly imagine. You owe us a baby because you killed one. Are you freaking serious? My heart bleeds for people who are desperate for kids but can't have them, but some people. God didn't want you to have children, and who am I to go against the will of God? That'll teach them. They'd pull the termination OP had into play if that line was used. Then go back to their point of making up for it. Those people are not fit to be parents by any means. Do not allow them into your home. Cut them out of your life. They're toxic and will drag you down any way they can. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.